have this room filled and to see you all here. Today's event signifies a commitment to community formation, to the importance of developing a knowledgeable and engaged citizenry. The theme of building bridges was created to demonstrate the bridges between cultures, bridges between generations.
The idea behind Cities of Nature was to be able to showcase the way that Austin has worked towards protecting and conserving green spaces. So I wanted to capture that, and I also wanted to capture, because I wanted to showcase architecture and use the open landscape, the landscape that we see outside in parks and gardens as part of that architectural space that is well designed with people in mind to bring people together. Instead of a thoroughfare where people can jog or walk, there are spaces where people can stay and linger and socialize and communicate.
There are so many cities like Tehran that they are very much car-oriented. There are highways that are cutting through all the neighborhoods and ruining the whole texture of the city, and the pedestrians are always the victims.
دیگه ما به پل بودنش فکر نمی‌کردیم. قرار بود پل جایی برای موندن باشه. قرار بود مردم بیان بشینن، معاشرت کنن، فضاهایی رو ببینن.
This metal bridge has connected two sides of nature. Even though it's full of steel, I don't feel that I'm walking in a space made of steel. I feel like I'm walking in a forest.
I like this bridge very much. It gives me positive energy, and every time I feel low, I come here to get re-energized.
When I design, before thinking about the form of a project, I think what matters the most is to understand what do people really need, both psychologically and physically, and these are very basic.
Hello, my name is Ismaili Flores and I live in South Austin. I've been in Austin for about 17 years now, and I've always enjoyed this beautiful city. Actually, my wife and I think about retiring here. Whether we can afford that or not, I don't know, but we love it here. And I remember when the old Breckenridge Hospital, used to be here to our right, and there was a creek here with a little bit of green space, and I just said, I wonder if someone would come develop this area and make it look really nice and attractive. And lo and behold, we have this beautiful area now. Even though we couldn't have the ribbon cutting ceremony and the music because of COVID, we're still able to come out and enjoy it and check it out. And so we want to invite the community to come and look at this. I mean, there's trees, there's walkways, there's playground, there's an amphitheater, there's signs with telling the history and story of this park. And so come and check it out. Queremos invitar a toda la comunidad de Austin para que venga y disfrute, traiga a su familia, traiga a sus niños. Tenemos árboles, un playground para los niños. Yo creo que va a disfrutar. Es muy importante que tengamos estos parques.
to be at this paradigm shift of the profession, where landscape architecture is being seen as a tremendously influencing force in urban design and city planning, with thankfully, the increasing role and expectation of climate action and our role as environmentalists and sculptors of the landscape, talking about infrastructure, green infrastructure, talking about roofs and green roofs, talking about new open spaces and the way that environmentally our cities can respond better, but socially at this great moment of social change and often social tension, our role as landscape architects is to profoundly bring people together in places that are equitable and diverse and inclusive, and really challenging the role of being effectively a giant pair of knitting needles for the way we want to live as a social construct of people in urban centers. The Waterloo Greenway is today one of the largest urban creek restorations in the United States. It represents a project that is effectively 35 acres of the east side of downtown, from Lady Bird Lake up to the University of Texas and 15th Street. It represents a flood alleviation project, which at its most fundamental and kind of engineering construct is about removing portions of downtown out of the floodplain by constructing an underground tunnel that diverts water that would have otherwise flooded downtown and moves it to the creek. And that's an engineering project that's been in the works for over 30 years. It's now complete. What Waller Creek and what the Waterloo Greenway represents is the moment of pivoting from, let's just put it back the way we found it, which was underperforming, effectively kind of an urban sewer, effectively, of a stream that runs through a blighted, underdeveloped, underappreciated portion of downtown. To pivot that into what is the definition of world-class open space for Austin, with a profound sense of Austin growing from a small town into a large, diverse, multicultural city, and how the Waterloo Greenway represents that kind of next step forward of what is open space. How do we promote bicycles and mobility and a sense of who we are as a city moving forward from a car-centric environment into a more cultural, dynamic, multimodal solution with trains and buses and bicycle ways. And within that, there are a whole slew of park spaces, and Waterloo Park is one of those. It's 11 acres of transformation, of turning a space into a place to play, to gather, to engage with families, and really change the game of what it means to have a city in a park and a park in a city, which is one of the original constructs and brands of Austin from over 50 years ago. And now it gets to be kind of rekindled in a new conversation that is the new topic of how and why people are moving here, what the expectation of world-class design should be.
So I'm Jody Lane, and I'm one of the founders of the Festal Beach Food Forest. And we're here in pretty urban downtown Austin, starting a pilot project that's pretty unknown in this part of the world, to do forests, so edible forest gardens on public land. So the distinction for us is that a food forest on public land would have no fences, and it would be free for all. So 24/7, anyone can come at any time and get food from the food forest. Sometime along the way, some permaculture people, some people involved with food is free, the compost peddlers started hearing about these meetings, and they came too, and they started talking about this idea of a food forest. And we didn't know what that was, and we were like, what is that? And so they started to explain, well, you use permaculture, which is really an ancient methodology. It's just working with your climate and being smart about water and all these wonderful techniques that people have known for thousands and thousands of years. And now we're calling it permaculture. And some really beautiful techniques that we wanted to use, we thought, okay, and let's still keep people coming together. So let's keep having these potlucks and let's build this food forest thing. And it took us about 2 years to talk to the community, a lot of whom were saying things like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would we want to do that? Because the people are just going to come and steal the peaches. What are you going to do when people steal the peaches? And we were like, and something about that authentic, we don't know, really started to build trust, because we really didn't know, and we weren't going to say that we knew, but we thought it's still a good idea. And some people were saying, well, what are we going to do when it's overrun by, animals or homeless, or what are we going to do when this happens? Okay, well, what are you going to do when somebody takes all the harvest, and because it's free and there's no fences, and then goes down the streets and sells it? We don't know. But it's worth doing. It's worth trying. And right around that time, the Parks Department and Austin Parks Foundation started to listen.
My name is Farah Rivera. I am a resident of the Rebecca Baines Johnson Residential Tower. I also manage and started a nonprofit called Serafina. Serafina's purpose is to serve and ensure that especially seniors have a better quality of life by providing food, hygiene products, and other goods that we may be able to help them with. The food forest and the community garden, they both have been providing to us for several years with different produce that they grow: radishes, pea shoots, peaches, moringa, bunches of herbs, and the variety has been astonishing to all of us. Not only that, but they provide tours. They provide us with this beautiful wide walkway, which is very important to us, and to have benches as well to sit down, because people used to walk this pathway. The pathway was like this, was very narrow and very uncomfortable. And now it's a wide pathway that it's very good for everybody. We are in the middle of a construction zone, so just to be able to come to this, it's like a moment of peace, a moment of quiet. It's very zen, if not to overuse the word, but it's very, very pleasant and very good to us.
I think the most important part is to retain community so that people can come together and kind of just, have a very humane connection with one another, because we spent so much of the pandemic kind of in our mind, in our homes. So to come together in spaces where we can kind of reintroduce ourselves is very important. In the era of COVID, it's really important that we do that outside. Honestly, it's my mental health. It really does help me to get out of my house and just be still in nature just for an hour, and then go back home. That's why I love Austin so much, because everything is, it revolves around that. There is initiative to prioritize that, and I love that about Austin.
The number one reason to create something like this is because of the sense of community. I'm just thinking in terms of the next generation of all the kids who are gonna grow up here, form memories, the concerts, the food. It's just gonna mean so much to them. And it means so much to me And this is my first day here, and I can see myself bringing my dog here, eating picnics, and yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing.
You know, I grew up going to these parks like Zilker, of course. It's kind of like the community's backyard. And I also grew up going to Waterloo Park. So seeing the transformation is just, it's a little jarring, and it's just really exciting. I mean, it used to be like such underutilized space, and now it's this incredible place where the community can really gather and enjoy more than just the outdoors. They can enjoy food trucks and performances and just everything that goes along with this project.